In a dramatic turn of events, Ms. King steps up and claims that Mr. Porter is the biological father of their 3-year-old son, Kalen. She declares that his denial has wrecked their relationship, emphasizing the importance of today's results to clear the air and possibly mend their bond. Grab your popcorn, the courtroom drama is just heating up.
Ms. King, you are here to prove again, off again, boyfriend Mr. Porter, that your 3-year-old son, Kyle, is his biological child. You say his denial has destroyed your relationship and you need today's results set the record straightest.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here comes the curveball. Ms. King shockingly admits she faked being pregnant initially to win back Mr. Porter after their split, hoping to reignite the extinguished flames of their past romance. This bombshell revelation sends ripples through the courtroom audience. You won't believe what's coming next. Stay tuned.
And then what happens when you find out you're pregnant, Ms. King?
Told him that I was pregnant, but I really wasn't pregnant.
Ms. King admits she lied and said she's pregnant. What happened?
At the time, she told me she was pregnant. So I decided, because I didn't have my father in my life, I decided I'm gonna step up to the plate regardless. I was there throughout the whole everything.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any more tangled, Ms. King drops another stunner. During the time she planned to come clean about her faux pregnancy, she actually finds herself pregnant for real. This twist not only adds a layer of irony, complicates the narrative further, showcasing her initial deceit followed by a true pregnancy. Buckle up, the roller coaster of revelations isn't over yet.
During that time that I wasn't pregnant, I actually found out that I was pregnant.
Because you was really trying to get pregnant because you knew you had
basically
lied. You worked real hard at that.
Yeah.
Because you had already lied.
How you pregnant?
But you didn't even know I was lying about my pregnancy until recently. I just came out clear and told you I even lied about being pregnant.
But you did let him know that you lied. Lie, that erodes trust.
As the plot thickens, Ms. King faces tough questioning about the possibility of other potential fathers given her earlier deception and the timeline of her pregnancy. She stoutly denies informing anyone else that they could be the father, insisting Mr. Porter is the sole candidate. What happens next will have you on the edge of your seat.
Did you ever tell any other man they potentially could be the father?
No, George was the only person that was sleeping around that I got pregnant.
Like the whole time when she was pregnant, like in the hospital, you know, giving birth to her, it was like, you could say drained, you know, so she went to sleep, her phone started to go off. You know, I'm a curious guy, something like that. I was like, why am I
Curious George?
You'll get a kick out of this. Ms. King, in an attempt to solidify her claim, presents a height chart in court, arguing that Mr. Porter must be the father because both are notably short, suggesting a genetic link to their son's stature. This piece of evidence is met with skepticism, as it's a shaky argument at best. The courtroom is about to be shaken up with the actual truth. Get ready.
Proof that he's the father. My son is actually a little vertically challenged. I have a chart that I created. Would you like me to show it to you? As you can see, the average male is at 5'9". George is 5'2". Each time that I take my son to the doctor to get his wellness check, he's actually falls between the lower 3 foot 5 inches. My son is 3 feet. Me and George both are short, so it's guaranteed that my son is going to be short.
And now, the grand finale. The DNA results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Porter, you are the father.
So here's a wild start. Ms. Phillips kicks things off by filing a case against Mr. Polk to prove he's the father of her 1-month-old daughter, Promise. After a thumbs up on the pregnancy, Mr. Polk has ghosted since the baby was born. Ms. Phillips is here, not just to talk, but to get some real answers about paternity and responsibilities.
Ms. Phillips, you've opened your case today to prove to Mr. Polk that he is the father of your 1-month-old daughter, Promise. You say after Mr. Polk's initial acceptance of the pregnancy, he has been MIA since your daughter's birth.
Yes, ma'am.
And the plot thickens. They delve into how their relationship started. It's a social media saga, fueled by past connections and a bit of spite. A simple friend request spirals into a full-blown relationship mess.
When she posted him, I was like, oh yeah, I'm about to go snatch him up. So I had some little friend requests with him. He started liking my pictures and inboxing me. He blowing my little inbox up.
She inboxed me first.
No, that's not
That's
true.
how I did.
So basically, you met through social media. You all ended up getting together, having sex, starting a relationship.
I was actually in a relationship, so it really wasn't that serious. I just wanted.
Just when you think you've seen it all, Ms. Phillips confronts Mr. Polk with a barrage of texts where he's apparently all in on having a baby with her, which he's now outright denying. She's not just upset, she's armed with receipts. Don't go anywhere. It escalates quickly.
We was texting every day. He was telling me he wanted me to have his baby. I got text messages. For 2 years, he told me he wanted me to have his baby. Then I get pregnant, he wanted to deny my girl.
Were you saying you wanted her to have your baby, Mr. Polk?
No, ma'am.
He was saying that for 2
Probably
years.
a couple times.
You said a couple times. Well, let me tell you
Probably.
now, this is a flash for you. It only takes one.
Next up, some serious serious tea gets spilled. Ms. Phillips accuses Mr. Polk of ditching protection, contrary to his earlier claims. This points to a deeper trust issue and throws a wrench in Mr. Polk's story.
I know you don't live here, because let me tell you, he don't like condoms. He don't like protection. He don't use
So you say you weren't protected?
We not, no.
Tell me the story.
Never.
The first time you got together, when was that?
It was back in June in 2007.
That wasn't the first time. It was like July 4th.
Did you have sex first time you all got together, or did you go on dates?
I'm talking about straight to it.
Here's a twist you didn't see coming. Ms. Phillips drops a bombshell about getting a tattoo that reads property of Mr. Polk's name. It was meant to be a matching set, but Mr. Polk bailed on returning the gesture. As this tattoo saga unfolds, keep your eyes peeled for the next move.
Everything, because BJ was telling me, oh, if you went with him, we'll be there. I want you to have my baby. I want to be family with you. All that good stuff.
Fell for that okie.
Yeah, so I left my man. Got his name tatted on me.
Yeah, she did that. And
I got a tattoo of his name on you?
It says property of in his name. He supposed to got my name tattooed on him, but he didn't because he's a compulsive liar. And he's a deadbeat, period.
Hold on to your seats, folks. Amidst the court drama, Ms. Phillips reveals that their relationship didn't pause for the courtroom. They've been continuing their encounters, complicating everything to another level.
And he trying to claim he cut me off, but he was catching ooh. I went to my hotel last night at 4 o'clock this morning, was getting on my nerves tonight. Says like 3, 4 for him to sit in this courtroom and got a girlfriend.
She paid for both of my Ubers.
No, I did not. He paid. Your Honor, he's lying.
And just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Mr. Polk throws in a curveball by claiming Ms. Phillips admitted to sleeping with someone else during the crucial conception period, which she awkwardly semi-confirms.
She did tell me she slept with someone else.
I did.
That's what I want to understand. Do you have doubt, Mr. Polk? You say she told you, Ms. Phillips told you slept with somebody else.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell the court.
She said, BJ, I slept with someone else. Just like that. He says me real good. Just like
when did this just come out?
Your Honor, no, let me say.
Get ready for some clarity, or not. The judge crunches some conception dates, and Mr. Polk is smack in the middle of the probable father window. But there's also another potential dad lurking in the possible time frame.
When was Promise born?
She was born on March the 15th, but my due date was March the 22nd.
So let's calculate. Probable conception dates are between June 27th and July 1st. Possible conception dates are between June 26th and July 6th.
Look at that one.
And here comes the big reveal, folks.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Polk, you are the father.
Strap in. It's a wild ride from here. The case kicks off with Mr. Adams' mother, claiming her son is teetering on the brink of jail for unpaid child support. They're in court to debunk the claim that he's the father of a 3-year-old, aiming to keep him out of the slammer.
You claim he's on the verge of being arrested for back child support, and you're both with us to prove he's not father of the defendant's 3-year-old son in an effort to keep him out of jail.
Guess what's brewing? Ms. Adams lays out their dire situation with the urgency of a ticking time bomb. Her son could be nabbed by the cops any second for not paying child support, even though he questions his paternity.
Your Honor, my son is now facing jail because of this situation.
You're concerned that he could be arrested for failure to pay child support for a child that have doubts is even his child.
True, Your Honor.
It's getting spicy now. Mr. Adams throws shade, saying he and Ms. Williams were never an item, just a brief fling that, in his view, already says a lot about her. It's essential context because, well, the whole paternity question hinges on it.
First date, so that was a judge character right there.
You weren't in a committed relationship.
No, Your Honor.
When you met Mr. Adams, did you intend this to be a committed relationship?
Young at the time, he hooked on and off.
Hold on to your popcorn, folks. Ms. Williams drops a bombshell. She was playing the field back then, which pretty much lends credence to all the paternity doubts Mr. Adams has been harping about.
During that time, were you also sleeping with other men as well?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
Without using protection?
Yes, it's a possibility. I never said, oh, you are father or you gonna take care of this baby.
For child support, for a child everybody agreed may or may not be his.
You thought that was juicy? Ms. Williams spins a new twist in the tale, admitting she initially tagged her ex as the daddy and didn't even consider Mr. Adams until the ex was ruled out by DNA.
No, I didn't.
You thought it was your ex, mine too, and you all went the whole process, but then you had a test, it was not your ex. So immediately then you said,
I located him and I told him it's possibility you may be the father of John.
No way, there's more. Amid the chaos, Mr. Adams is sticking to his guns, suspecting there might be other potential dads who've been in the mix. This throws another layer of doubt over the already murky paternity waters.
Well, actually, Your Honor, I feel like it was other people as well.
What evidence you have to suggest that?
Talked to Miss Williams, and that Miss Williams stated that she has tested as well.
That was my ex I had tested. There were no other guys.
Cue the facepalm moment. The reason Mr. Adams missed his DNA test? A hangover. Yep, you heard right. This isn't just a hiccup. It's a face-first dive into legal hot water, including a default paternity declaration and a child support nightmare.
Couldn't go. I was hungover. I'm not gonna lie, you know, he was hungover. All the other times that we scheduled dates, she was not probably off partying or anything, Your Honor.
But I don't know how you lay up talking about you hungover.
And then reality hits hard. Mr. Adams details his surprise arrest for unpaid child support, a stark reminder of how quickly things can spiral when paternity and legal responsibilities are in limbo. Don't go anywhere. The drama escalates.
Cigarettes, police just ran our name. Now, I didn't even know I had a warrant, so I gave them my name proud, like, come back to me like, oh, Mr. Adams. And next thing you know, he put me in the back of the car in handcuffs.
And how much time did you serve for this?
Like 10 days.
Finally, the moment of truth. No, really this time.
That Mr. Adams is not the father.
Take me off child support, baby.
Buckle up for this roller coaster. Miss Renfro kicks things off with a bombshell, claiming with no shadow of a doubt that Mr. Tuesday is the father of her son Kendall, who battles a grave genetic health issue. She underlines just how crucial the paternity results are for her child's medical future. Meanwhile, Mr. Tuesday stands firm on his belief that he is not the father, eagerly awaiting the results to clear his name.
Ms. Renfro, you claim you are 100% certain that the defendant is the father of your 6-month-old son, Kendall. You say Kendall was born with a serious medical condition and believe it was genetic passed down by the defendant. And that's why today's paternity results are critical.
Yes, Your Honor.
The drama intensifies. Miss Renfro slams Mr. Tuesday for shirking financial responsibilities and not being present during critical moments of her pregnancy and Kendall's medical procedure. In a twist, Mr. Tuesday concedes to visiting just once, casting doubts about his paternity based on the baby's looks, claiming the child bears no resemblance to him.
So, Ms. Renfro, why do you believe Mr. Tuesday is denying paternity?
He don't want to take financial responsibility. He hasn't been there. He was there through my pregnancy. When I had the baby, for his surgery, he wasn't there. I contacted him, tried to let him know, and there was still nothing, no response, no.
So you're saying, Ms. Renfro, that Mr. Tuesday has shown any concern about—
He's never even seen my—
Did that just happen? As we delve deeper, we learn about the casual fling between Miss Renfro and Mr. Tuesday that got serious around her pregnancy announcement. Miss Renfro spills the beans on taking 7 pregnancy tests and how Mr. Tuesday ghosted her thereafter.
Give me the nature of this relationship, Ms. Renfro.
Yeah, we started out friends, like we met through mutual friends, and it was sexual, and we talked about being in a relationship, and then found out I was pregnant. I took 7 pregnancy tests.
And at that point, you say Mr. Tuesday just backed off.
Yeah, there was no contact after that. He ignored my calls, text messages. He didn't say nothing. He was like, well, who's the dad?
Hold on to your seats, folks. Miss Renfro lays out the gravity of Kendall's health issues, explaining his diagnosis with Hirschsprung's disease, which she suspects is genetically transmitted by Mr. Tuesday. She recounts the intense surgeries Kendall endured right after his birth, spotlighting the genetic stakes at play. Keep watching. The reaction to this revelation is a must-see.
My son has an issue with his stomach. He was born with what you call Hirschsprung's disease, and it's through genetics. None of my other kids have it. I had sex with him, got pregnant, and my son had to have surgery at 6 days old.
So, Your Honor, I don't have any type of medical...
But it can be passed through your mom, your dad. It could be down the road from anybody in your family. It don't have to be necessarily from you.
The plot thickens. An emotional Miss Renfro emphasizes the dire need for Mr. Tuesday to step up owing to Kendall's health complications. She clears the air about any other potential fathers during the conception period, reinforcing her selective intimacy. The courtroom is on edge, and what comes next is jaw-dropping.
My son deserves to know who his dad is because of the issues he has with his health, responsibility for his child. I'm 100% sure. I know who my kids belong. Lay down with everybody. I don't sleep with everybody unprotected, and when I have sex with people...
And why would you have another guy signing a birth certificate?
The tension is palpable. Miss Renfro details the struggles of single motherhood, particularly managing Kendall's frequent medical crises alone. She vents her frustration over Mr. Tuesday's uncooperative stance, complicating the gathering of a full medical history for Kendall. Fasten your seatbelts. The ensuing testimony throws everything into question.
Without the man you say is biological father, and go through all of— When you're having a medical issue, everybody knows first thing they ask you is your family history. So how has this been for the last—
It's full. It's hard. My son has to see a surgeon twice a month. He's in and out of the hospital with infections in his intestines, and my son deserves to know who dad is.
You can cut the tension with a knife. Kristen, a friend of Miss Renfro, steps up, hinting at another potential father around the conception timeframe, casting a shadow of doubt over Miss Renfro's previous assertions. The courtroom is buzzing, and the implications of this testimony are about to turn heads.
State your name for the court.
I'm Kristen.
What relationship are you to Miss Renfro?
This is my best friend. I've known her for like 10 years. Tells me everything. Well, like Danielle said, that's his dad. I believe her. I believe she's a lie. You know, if there was a possibility, I think she would tell me about it. Mr. Tuesday, honestly, he's a good guy, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's doing this purposely because, you know, like he said, she was texting whatever, you know, texting a guy.
This is where it gets really spicy. Reflecting on the recent bombshells, Mr. Tuesday doubles down on his denial, shaped by past false paternity claims. He debates the possibility that he's not the father, given the fresh doubts aired. The judge is about to drop a truth bomb that will rock the courtroom.
I'm just thinking that I know for a fact this ain't my kid.
How do you know? That don't prove nothing because who I slept with, that don't mean nothing. I used a condom, so there is no other option to cheat.
But you was sleeping around though.
I wasn't sleeping around. If we wasn't together, it don't matter who I was sleeping with.
Miss Renfro, it does matter though.
Here comes a curveball.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Tuesday, you are not father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!
Oops.
Buckle up for a wild ride from the get-go. Miss McDowell kicks things off by staunchly asserting that her 1-month-old daughter Annabelle is undeniably her husband's child. She's all in, claiming the conception timeline syncs perfectly with their encounters. On the flip side, Mr. McDowell throws major shade, labeling his wife a cheater and pointing fingers at Mr. Alfred, the new guy, as the likely dad. He's itching to bolt from the marriage if the DNA test shows Annabelle isn't his.
McDowell, you say you have no doubt 1-month-old daughter Annabelle is your husband's biological child because you claim you only had sex with Mr. McDowell the window of conception. Mr. McDowell, you say you're nothing but a cheater and you believe the man she left for, Mr. Alfred, is in fact Annabelle's father. Say that once the DNA proves the child is not yours, you want out of this marriage.
Yes, Your Honor.
Strap in for some soap opera level revelations from Mr. McDowell. He's playing the single dad card hard, juggling their other kids and coping with his wife's alleged escapades. He recounts a tale of deception where Miss McDowell fibbed about crashing at a friend's place, only for him to learn she was cozying up with another man.
The children we have lost their mother, a single father at the moment. I'm taking care of them by myself. It all went down like she just one day told me she was going to go to her friend, a female friend's house in a few hours.
That's not true.
And then she called me later that night that she was going to end up spending the night. Well, the next day, the friend she went go spend the night with, she walked into the home, caught her, Miss McDowell, her boyfriend, on the couch cuddling.
Grab your popcorn for this bombshell of a calendar expose. Miss McDowell lays down the law with a calendar marked with intimate dates, trying to pin down the father based on her tryst with Mr. McDowell and Mr. Alfred. She's all about proving Mr. McDowell's paternity during what she calls the critical conception window, despite her romantic rendezvous with others.
I have proof here that yes, I did. We had sex on the 27th, and also I had sex with Mr. Alfred on the 9th and the 10th of November. And then I also have, from what my midwife told me, my conceiving week, and that's the week I had sex with Mr. McDowell.
It shows on 27th of October, you were intimate with your husband.
Things just got real personal. Enter stage left, Mr. McDowell's mom, Miss Combs, who's none too pleased with the ongoing drama. She spills the beans on reluctantly supporting Miss McDowell through her pregnancy while doubting the whole grandchild narrative. Her frustration is palpable, painting a picture of manipulation and financial exploitation.
Well, it's not my grandchild.
May I say one more thing? We had a court scheduled in I was walking down the hallway, I was running late for court. She did not know where I was. I tucked in behind the corner to where no one could see me, that she knew the child wasn't mine and that she was.
He asked me if
to me, why does
Mr. McDowell's child?
You won't believe what comes next. Mr. Alfred steps into the fray, stirring the pot by questioning his own potential paternity and suggesting another mystery man might be in the running. His candid revelations add layers to the already tangled narrative, suggesting nothing is as simple as it seems. As the court digests his bombshells, the emotional roller coaster is far from over. Next up, heartstrings will be tugged.
Do you believe your baby Annabelle biological father?
Personally, I believe me or Michael, either one or the father. I think it might be the gentleman that she was with before she tried to work things out with Mike.
What's interesting here is you say the baby's your husband. Your husband says the baby's your love, and your lover says the baby by another.
The emotional stakes are sky high as the curtain rises on this act. As the case winds down, Miss McDowell and Mr. Alfred make their final, impassioned pleas, reflecting on their fraught relationship, the uncertain future of little Annabelle. They lay bare their hopes and fears, setting the stage for a climax filled with potential heartbreak or relief.
I have custody
the first
of the
5 months
prior
of her
3
pregnancy,
kids.
she believed that it was Mr. McDowell's up until the 6th month. She tried to claim that it was mine. I personally believe that she was trying to see who would take her in and support
Who would give her the most?
Like I said, I don't believe the baby's mine. I hope the results are different because, like I said, we are in a relationship together.
So you want the child to be yours, but you don't believe the child is yours.
Yes, ma'am.
And now, the moment we've all been on the edge of our seats for.
Mr. McDowell or Mr. Alfred is the biological father. Mr. Alfred, you are her father.
Thank God.
Miss Dallas brings Mr. Stewart to court to establish paternity for her 1-month-old son, Lamar. She is utterly gobsmacked Mr. Stewart is denying paternity, especially given his shady behavior, which suggests he's been leading a double life. Miss Dallas is adamant that it's actually Mr. Stewart who's been playing games, not her.
Miss Dallas, you have dragged Mr. Stewart into court today to prove that he is the father of your newborn son, 1-month-old Lamar. You say you are shocked that he's denying he's baby Lamar's biological dad, especially since you discovered he's the one a double life.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Stewart counters Miss Dallas's claim, suggesting her possibly dubious fidelity has made the paternity of baby Lamar a big question mark. Miss Dallas takes us back to the start of their relationship, from a serendipitous breakfast encounter to a secretive affair shrouded by Mr. Stewart's marital status kept under wraps.
Mr. Stewart, you claim that it's Miss Dallas been far from faithful, and you believe that baby Lamar's dad any one of multiple men. So Miss Dallas, take us to your relationship before you found out about Mr. Stewart's alleged double life.
Cedric with Mr. Stewart, June of 2016, out having breakfast with my friend, probably about 6 o'clock in the morning. He walked up to me.
The confrontation heats up as Miss Dallas questions Mr. Stewart about why he hid his marital status during their initial dating phase. Mr. Stewart admits he misled her, keeping his marriage a secret until she pressed him for answers, claiming they were separated and almost divorced.
I'm like, you got a girlfriend? He like, no. I'm like, you have a baby mom there? He like, no. You got a wife? And he was like, yeah. So he proceeded to tell me like, oh, they're separated, they're going through a divorce.
Date her casually, have sex with her, and finally, only later tell her that you were married?
It didn't quite go like that.
How did it go?
You know, it didn't come up.
Mr. Stewart spills the beans about pretending to be single and fesses up to being married without pursuing a divorce as he had implied. This bombshell forces Miss Dallas to reflect on how his dishonesty has affected their relationship and her decision to stay with him even after discovering the truth.
So you were out there acting like a single man, but you were married?
Yes.
Were you getting a divorce then?
I wasn't in, I didn't have it filed, but in my head, yeah, I was getting a divorce.
In your head? That means you were still married?
Yeah.
How often did you see one another if you're married with your wife at
home?
Oh,
that's it, every day.
Come over there when he get off work. Only time he probably house and when he went to go change his clothes or put on his work clothes.
Tensions escalate with the pregnancy bombshell as Miss Dallas, now fully aware of Mr. Stewart's marital status, grapples with her emotions and the whirlwind of promises he continues to make. She chooses to stick with Mr. Stewart, swayed by his vows despite the complex web of their situation.
Yes, I did have second thoughts, but once things started hitting her, like, I was already pregnant. And I love Cedric, you know. He was telling me, like, I'm gonna do the divorce, we're gonna have a house, all this, we're gonna raise our son together. I was believing him because that's to do was believe him, you know.
So he had you high on promises and drunk off the cream.
The conversation turns to Mr. Stewart's initial joy about the pregnancy, which soon morphs into doubt amid whispers of Miss Dallas's alleged infidelities. External meddling and scandalous photos sent by a supposed friend throw even more shade on Miss Dallas's loyalty.
We have no kids.
But you have 3 children from a previous relationship. How long have you been married?
10 years.
Start beginning doubt. So-called my shit was telling him and his wife been around with me when I conceived Lamar. But it was the same friend that sent him get pictures of herself to telling him that I was sleeping around with somebody else. So why wouldn't she want to sleep with you?
Miss Stewart, Mr. Stewart's wife, joins the courtroom, shedding light on her view of the timeline and nature of her husband's affair with Miss Dallas. She confronts the tales spun in court and expresses her own heartache and frustration with both her husband and Miss Dallas.
This testimony is troubling.
Very troubling, and it was not true.
What part of the testimony?
How they met. Cedric met her online.
And so you believe he was actually looking for
exactly
a relationship outside the marriage?
I wouldn't say a relationship, but
do you believe Miss Dallas knew married from the beginning?
I wouldn't say from the beginning, but she very, very early.
In the midst of the paternity debate, we discover that Mr. Stewart and Miss Dallas are currently living together, kind of. Their on-again, off-again living situation and ongoing disputes highlight the confusion and chaos of their relationship.
So you and Miss Dallas, you live together?
We kind of, you know what I mean?
We live together, but you go back and forth.
We moved in together. We go back and forth. Like, she done moved out.
You all divorced or still married?
Legally, we're still married.
Roberta knows what Roberta has to do for herself at this point. Cedric has 3 children of his own that he has neglected to take care of her children.
No.
The court digs into the confusing pregnancy timeline, which both women use to bolster their arguments. The spotlight on Mr. Stewart's shifty behavior underscores his pivotal role in the ongoing conflict, painting a picture of a man who has stirred up significant turmoil. And now comes the moment we've all been waiting for.
The issue about the timeline, though.
Because I'm big, you know, they was going off the measurement of my belly. I didn't start showing I was like 8 months really getting a round belly or whatever, but the measurements were off, but the ultrasound right on point.
It has been determined by this court. Stewart, you are the father.
Told you.
I ain't got no reason to lie.
Jennifer Robinson steps up to the plate, throwing a curveball at her mom, Kathleen Harms, accusing her of cooking up a paternity fraud stew. She's adamant that her mom got the name wrong on her birth certificate and insists that Mr. Moore is her real dad. This spicy opener sets the stage for an emotional roller coaster.
This case of Robinson v. Harm.
Ms. Robinson, you are suing your mother for paternity fraud and are here to prove that Mr. Moore is your biological father, even though your mother, another man's name on your birth certificate. Ms. Harris, you're certain Mr. Moore is not your daughter's father and claim her case of paternity fraud outrageous.
Yes. Jennifer is not holding back, folks. She's all kinds of frustrated about how long it took to crack the case of her father's identity, pointing fingers at her mom for keeping the secret under wraps. She's been on a lifelong scavenger hunt for the truth, which apparently was not on her mom's priority list, deepening the plot and her sense of betrayal.
Honestly, Your Honor, I don't feel that I'm the one that waited 36 years. I feel that my mom waited 36 years to help find who my father is. I have always, tried to ask about my father. I guess it was a part of her she didn't just want to bring up, so it always got pushed to the back burner. Or I was told, get the hell out of her, leave her alone, don't ask any questions of who your dad is.
In a fiery face-off, Kathleen swears she's been an open book, while Jennifer accuses her of editing out some major chapters about her dad's identity. The tension is thicker than a mystery novel, revealing layers of family secrets and heated emotions.
Who was supposed to be my dad?
It's not Mr. Moore. I had already moved on.
But the other guys that she says is father, I look nothing like.
And you don't look like him. She doesn't look
me.
like him either.
So I look like
I've never kept secret. I've always been honest to the best of my ability.
We were supposed to come here 3 weeks ago. My mom, for some reason, was nervous.
It wasn't that I was nervous. I just didn't want to come here at that time to listen to any more of their lies.
Jennifer whips out a birth certificate like it's a smoking gun, questioning whether the scribbles under father's name are legit. This piece of paper might as well be a treasure map, pointing to clues of forgery and deception, making everyone lean in a bit closer to their screens.
I think helps me prove that he's my father. First, I have
gray hair,
a birth certificate. On the father's spot, it has a signature. Now, when I looked at that, I seen that the signature looked new. It didn't look as old as my mom's, but I'm a kid, so I went along with it. Last year, I needed to get a new ID. So I go to get a new ID, and they told me that my original birth certificate was not good enough. I needed to get the new one.
Here comes Mr. Moore, striding in like he owns the place, ready to drop some bombshells of his own. He claims he's the daddy based on a history that includes more than a few close encounters of the intimate kind, adding a spicy twist to the already simmering pot. Keep your eyes peeled, because the truth serum is about to be administered.
Don't think you just a mess. He always told me he was my daddy.
We're here for Jennifer, Miss Robinson, and she's indicated through her testimony that you believe you are her biological father. Do you?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
You do. Tell the court why.
Well, Your Honor, she used to babysit her sister's kid, and I used to go there a lot, and we were having sex a lot. It wasn't no little bit. It's true.
The moment of truth lands like a lead balloon.
It has been determined by this court. Moore, you are not her father.
Oh my. Dude, who is my daddy?
Guess what just hit the fan? Ms. Luttrell spills the beans about her lifelong daddy dilemma, hoping she's cracked the code after a DIY DNA test. The judge lays down the law, prepping to sift through the evidence like a detective at a disco. Stick around, because it's about to get as wild as a squirrel at a nut factory.
This is a case of Luttrell versus Leaks.
Ms. Luttrell, you filed your case because you say after a lifetime of confusion of not knowing who your biological father is and receiving no help from your mother, you are now hopeful because you believe you have finally found your dad.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ready for a curveball wrapped in a mystery? Ms. Luttrell locks eyes with Mr. Leaks, the potential pops, for the very first time right in the courtroom. Their meeting is charged with more emotion than a soap opera finale, courtesy of Jerome's smooth moves.
I found him because I did a DNA test through Ancestry.com.
You have never met him?
No, I've never met him in person, face to face.
Are you ready to see him for the first time?
Yes, I'm really excited. I really would like to.
Mr. Leak into the courtroom.
Hello, Mr. Leaks. Maybe go up here on the left-hand side.
Can you dig it? Ms. Luttrell digs into her tough childhood tales and the daddy vanishing act. Her stories are more tangled than headphones in your pocket, including a dad who went out for smokes and ghosted.
My childhood, pretty rough, growing up with my mom being a single mom. My whole life, I always wanted to know who my father was.
What were you told about your father?
As a young child, at around 8 years old, I was told that father had went to the store, apparently was to buy a cigarette, and he never came back. That was the first story my mother told me.
Throwing a wild card here, the judge dives into the daddy drama, questioning if one of several men could be the father. Ms. Melody Luttrell admits to past flings faster than a reality TV show plot thickens, mentioning a co-worker and a classmate.
Say there are 3 possible fathers, one of which was a co-worker.
Yes, we dated, we got familiar with each other, and then it ended up in intimacy.
Did you ever tell that person you were pregnant?
I didn't know how to contact, and I had moved as well.
You also say that there was a classmate.
Things are heating up. Ms. Luttrell lays out how she matched Mr. Leeks on Ancestry.com, kicking off a family tree treasure hunt. The courtroom feels more like a reunion as they puzzle out the pieces.
You were having sex with all these men and you didn't even get their phone number or know their full name or where they're from?
Well, they were like short relationships, so I didn't know really where they were.
What happened with Mr. Lee?
It was a party that had occurred in my neighborhood. I got to know somebody, I don't know if it's him, but somebody that could be her father at that party.
This twist could tie a pretzel. Mr. Leeks throws cold water on the party tale, claiming he never crashed that particular bash. His denial throws a wrench in the works, contradicting Mom's party animal anecdote.
Do you remember this party and this one-night stand?
No, I'm just looking at it right now thinking, okay, it's nice to meet you, but I was not at that party.
Were you ever at a party having sex with?
You know, if I have a child or anything like that, if I even know there's a chance I'll have a child, I'm sticking around. I'm not going anywhere.
You won't believe this bit. The judge reveals that back in the baby-making days, Mr. Leeks and Ms. Luttrell's mom were practically neighbors. Despite Mr. Leeks' party denials, the judge suggests they might have boogied at the same bash.
Where both of you would have been living during the window of, and the truth is you all didn't live far away from one another at that time. You were in Sacramento, Mr. Leeks, Ms. Luttrell, you were as well about 14 minutes away from one another. So, I mean, it wouldn't be inconceivable to think you could have been at the same party.
I wasn't at no party.
Now for the moment of truth. After soaking in all the soap opera-worthy details, the judge gives the green light for a DNA test. It's more anticipated than a finale cliffhanger.
When you walked into the courtroom, Mr. Leek, you were satisfied possibility that she could potentially be your daughter, which says to me, sex with somebody, and then there are family members of yours that it is not so far-fetched that he could be your father, and then you saying, well, if I'm not her biological father, somebody in my family is, because she's just like my mother to me.
Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Leek, you are not father. I'm very sorry, Ms. Luttrell.
Opening shot. Can you even handle this? Ms. Pringle kicks things off with a bombshell as she hauls Mr. Brown to court, over denying he's the dad of their tiny tot, Tatiana. She's super stressed about him dodging daddy duties since day one. Buckle up to catch Mr. Brown's wild rebuttal.
Pringle, you open this case against Mr. Brown because you say he denied fathering your 18-month daughter, Tatiana. You state he has acted like she doesn't exist since the day she was born. You want Mr. Brown to step after today's result? Prove he is father.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Brown's rebuff. Talk about a plot twist. Mr. Brown fires back, branding Ms. Pringle as the unfaithful one, and doubles down that Tatiana's real dad is some other dude. His bold refusal kicks the drama up a notch, complete with so-called medical proof. The emotional fireworks are just getting started.
Mr. Brown, you claim Ms. Pringle is a known cheater. Fathered the child in question with another man. You insist there is no way you are her daughter's father and have medical evidence to prove your case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Heartbreak Alley. Grab your tissues. Ms. Pringle, in tears, lays out the loneliness of solo parenting, pointing fingers at Mr. Brown, the emotional whirlwind their daughter is caught in. As she makes her tearful plea to Mr. Brown, brace yourself for a revelation that'll throw another curveball into the mix.
It hurts really bad because I have to raise her on my own, and no child should go through that.
Can you look at Mr. Brown and tell him how much this hurts?
It hurts really bad that you're denying my daughter. She looks for you every day.
Bet you didn't see this one coming. Amidst the chaos, Ms. Pringle drops a truth bomb about a fleeting fling she had via a dating app, tossing even more spice into the paternity mystery stew. Hang tight as the saga of their rocky romance unfolds next.
I met someone on a dating site. We made out. That's what happened.
Or realized you were pregnant?
I went to a free clinic and I took the test and they said I had 4 weeks and 3 days.
Pregnant?
Yes.
And then you called Mr. Brown?
Yes, and I told him I was pregnant.
Oh, the drama thickens. Flashback to when Mr. Brown was all cheers about the pregnancy, only to hit the brakes and bail 2 months later. This plot twist digs deeper into the murky timeline of their love life. Stay tuned for an unexpectedly sporty demonstration.
He was happy and we were together for like 2 months and we broke up.
You were only happy for 2 months?
We didn't have sex at the time, like the conceiving time that she got pregnant, but we was broken.
At the conception time, you didn't have sex then?
No.
I don't know where he got his information from, but there's nobody but him.
We're going forensic. Both camps bring out the big guns with medical medical evidence trying to settle the paternity puzzle. As they move from teary tales to test tubes and DNA tests, get ready for a demo that might just crack a smile.
You say you both have medical evidence that proves your case. Ms. Pringle, you say you have medical evidence that proves Mr. Brown is Tatiana's biological father. And Mr. Brown, you say you have medical evidence that proves there is no way you can be Tatiana's biological father. Can you tell me about your medical evidence that says Mr. Brown is in fact her biological father?
This is hilariously heartwarming. In a goofy yet telling moment, Ms. Pringle and Jerome, the ever so helpful bailiff, break into squats. Why? They claim it's a quirky trait that Tatiana inherited from Mr. Brown. Watch on for a dive into medical mysteries that's quite the eyebrow raiser.
What is the squat?
Like when I'm fixing on something.
Let me see.
I can do that.
Jerome! Now, Jerome, if you can do this squat, that would then help Mr. Brown's case that it may not be hereditary. Jerome, now can you squat down there like that?
Exactly how.
Oh, shoot!
Twist. Adding a spin to the medical melee, Mr. Brown plays the asthma card, noting it's a family trait missing in Tatiana. This sparks a chat with Dr. Gator, who sheds light on whether asthma can really hint at paternity. The emotional appeals coming up are total heart-tuggers.
Okay, my medical evidence, I have asthma and it runs down in the family. My other kid has asthma.
Your other kid has asthma. How many other children you have?
I would have had 8.
Here comes the emotional climax. Ms. Pringle, in a raw outpour, begs Mr. Brown to step up as Tatiana's father, stressing not just the financial, but the deep emotional stakes. What's decided here could change their lives forever.
I want you to help me financially, emotionally, physically, to be there for her and show her what a guy shouldn't do to her when she grows up. You have to be there and teach her all these things.
The tension peaks.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are the father.
Mr. Reyes kicks off with a bombshell, doubting he's the dad of the adorable 11-month-old Moon, who he's been parenting like a champ. He's pointing fingers at Ms. Prickett's ex as the potential bio-dad, stirring up a real soap opera scenario in the courtroom. Buckle up, because this baby drama is just getting started.
You've opened your case today because you doubt fathered Ms. Prickett's 11-month-old daughter, Moon, raising Moon, but now believe you were duped and are certain her father is the defendant's ex-husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
In a twist worthy of a detective novel, Mr. Reyes demands a voice analysis test to check if Ms. Prickett has been playing the field. This high-tech truth quest aims to uncover whether there's been some behind-the-scenes action. Next up, the results are gonna drop some jaws.
Additionally, you petitioned the court for a forensic voice analysis test to determine the extent of the defendant cheating.
Ms. Prickett firmly throws down the gauntlet, claiming Mr. Reyes is definitely Moon's dad and she's here to prove it, hoping to glue her family back together. She's all in, folks.
Ms. Prickett, you claim you are certain that the plaintiff is Moon's father and hope to prove it, save your family.
Yes, Your Honor.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any spicier, Ms. Prickett drops the news of another bun in the oven. Mr. Reyes is sweating bullets over this latest plot twist as doubts and diapers pile up. Suspense is building. What's gonna happen when the truth comes out?
I see she's currently pregnant,
yes,
so this has to add to the stress. Mr. Reyes believes you're setting him up to raise a child that isn't his.
Joseph is definitely the father. I've never been unfaithful with him. He has a great bond with Moon. He is the father. This is insane that he even thinks that he's not.
Hold the phone. Ms. Prickett vanishes in the wee hours, only to say she was hashing things out with her ex. Mr. Reyes is having none of it, and frankly, neither is the courtroom. This mystery ride is about to go off the rails.
One of the things is that I woke up around 4 in the morning. She wasn't in the house and her car was gone from the driveway.
Well, it was actually 6 in the morning.
She got back at 6.
What
She could have been
Joe
gone for
has
hours.
to realize that I do have a child, my ex-husband. I felt like I needed to resolve issues with him.
In another you can't make this stuff up moment, Ms. Prickett is late because she supposedly turned into a good Samaritan at a gas station at midnight. Her story about a random dude, a full tank, and a crisp $100 bill sounds like a fishy fishtail.
I was working at a restaurant. She'd normally be there between 10 and 10:15. She said she was on her way and she stopped at a gas station. She was dodging my calls and my text messages. When I finally get a hold of her 2 hours later, this is around 12 a.m., she says that she was at the gas station. Random man randomly filled up her gas tank, asked her for a ride to his hotel, and then gave her $100.
Sneaking out to meet the ex at 5 a.m. and not a peep to Mr. Reyes sounds like a recipe for disaster, or at least for some serious side-eye from the judge. This segment is a real head-scratcher, and you'll be scratching yours too.
He left his phone in the Uber, downloaded the app on my phone, contact with his Uber. Tell the Uber driver I'll give him $100 if he meets us so I get my phone. He says, I'll give you another $100 for doing this for me. So I was like, I was trying to, get it in contact with the Uber.
So you using your phone to get him an Uber, but you're using your phone to tell your boyfriend I'm running late, babe, I'm gas station.
Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Reyes, you are the father.
So we kick off with Mr. Griffin spilling the beans right out the gate. He admits he had a not-so-little fling with his wife's stepsister, Mrs. Richmond, while still hitched. Mrs. Richmond, on her part, isn't buying that she and Mr. Griffin cooked up a daughter together, and she's here to prove him wrong. As the gavel goes down, everyone braces for a roller coaster of family drama.
You were a married man who had a 2-year affair with your wife's stepsister. That relationship produced a daughter, but Miss Richmond claims you are not daughter's biological father. Lakeisha is here to support your claim. Miss Richmond, you admit to the affair with Mr. Griffin, but say the plaintiff is not your daughter's biological father, and you plan to prove that in court today.
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right, hold on to your popcorn. Mr. Griffin drops the bomb that he's been a bit naughty, calling his 2-year fling with his sister-in-law a dishonest mistake. Talk about a whoopsie. The judge isn't letting this slide and grills him on the nature of his so-called mistake, making it clear we're not just talking spilled milk here.
Honest mistake, Your Honor, but at the same...
Wait, now there wasn't no mistaken identity. You knew it was wife's sister.
No, I'm talking about me doing what I did.
Was it an honest mistake or a dishonest mistake?
Dishonest mistake.
How long did this mistake
It lasted, I'd say, about 2 years.
2 years?
I know a year.
This wasn't no mistake, this was a decision.
Exactly.
Here comes a tender moment, folk, or awkward, depending on how you see it. Mrs. Richmond reminisces about the time she told Mr. Griffin he might be the daddy. She paints a picture of him playing Sim with the baby, holding her up to the light as if he's expecting a divine sign or something. This scene really lays the feels on thick, with more "Are you the daddy?" moments on the horizon.
He came over to my house, picked her up, and he went up on the stairs and he, put her up to the light, and he said, yeah, she could be mine. And that was the last we ever discussed him seeing her, actually, of me and him, and about her being...
I never seen...
Coming to that part.
Miss Richmond, Tykia, you're asserting in court that you have not seen Mr. Griffin?
I seen him one time when I was like 14 in my life. I spoke to him first time on the phone.
And just when you think you've got the plot, the script flips. The court's all muddled up with he said, she said about a DNA test. Mrs. Richmond swears the test booted Mr. Griffin from the daddy role, while he remembers getting a "congratulations, it's a girl" kind of result. Grab your detective hats because we're about to play Who's Your Daddy? Detective Edition.
She was young, because if it wasn't my daughter, why would the reason she come and tell me that she was pregnant?
You weren't together during the pregnancy?
After I got married, we never had too much contact because I got a relationship with another gentleman.
You didn't want to
While you were pregnant with his child?
Hardly see each other.
She was trying to hide from her stepsister.
So, Mr. Griffin, how did you tell your wife that you got her sister pregnant?
I didn't.
Cue the violins as Tykia steps up and shares how this whole daddy dilemma has been a real bummer. Growing up not knowing if Mr. Griffin is her pops, it's a real tearjerker as she talks about the missing pieces in her family puzzle. But dry those eyes, there's a plot twist coming up that's straight out of a telenovela.
When I was like in high school, I got a message on MySpace from Keisha. Just a long little thing saying, I think you're my sir, and I'm just like who is this girl?
First got the message, were you overwhelmed with emotion, or did you?
I just thought she was crazy because of what my mom say.
Oh, because your mom had told you?
All I know is what my mom said.
All right, things take a somber turn here. Tykia shares a heart-wrenching story about her hubby's tragic accident, which happened on the same day she skipped a family wedding. It's a real downer, especially with her feeling all cut off from the Griffin clan. But keep those tissues handy, as we're not out of the woods yet. There's a moment of truth coming that might just patch up some broken hearts.
One of the other sisters, Griffin sisters, her wedding was May 21st, 2011. He invited me and my husband believed I looked like some of the other sisters. He was like, yeah, we should go. And I'm like, I don't know. And then the other people, like my sister and my mom, they like, I don't think they're your family, so why go all the way to Michigan?
Get ready for some serious family feels. The judge nudges Mr. Griffin to give a fatherly pep talk to Tykia if he really believes she's his. It's a touching scene, sort of like a come to Jesus moment, but with more legal jargon. And just when you think you've seen it all, get ready for the grand finale, DNA results.
I want you to look across the aisle right now. This is a woman, you say this is your daughter. And I want you to turn to your daughter right now, if you believe this is your daughter. And I'd like for you to tell the court, and more importantly, how you recognize what she feels.
I'm sorry, your husband, and I wish that I had been there for you. I'm sorry for not being there for you.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Griffin, you are not her father. 32 years of thinking you were this woman's father.
Can you even handle this? Ms. Myers strides into court with her mom, Ms. Madrigal, to solve the mystery of who her real dad is. She's frustrated because her mom handed her a list of 13 potential dads, like it's some kind of bizarre guessing game. Strap in, because this soap opera is just getting started.
Ms. Myers, you have brought your mother, Ms. Madrigal, to court today because she has no idea who your biological father is. You say your mother gave you a list of 13 possible men, and you are hoping to determine who your father is today.
Things just got spicier. It comes out that Ms. Myers got drip-fed names of possible dads over a whole year, turning her life into a real-life Maury episode. This bombshell has left her with more daddy issues than a daytime drama. You gotta see what's up next. It's a doozy.
And so at 13 years old, how did you find out there were potentially 13 different men that could be your father?
The list came from my mom telling me over approximately a year, maybe a little longer. She would always just say, you know, here's a name. I think to her it seemed like it was a joke.
Grab your tissues, folks. Ms. Myers spills her guts about how tough it was growing up without a dad, feeling all kinds of lost and mixed up. This moment is more loaded than a Thanksgiving turkey. But wait, there's more heartache ahead.
I feel lost. You know, I feel confused. I don't know who I am. I don't know my heritage. I don't know what I'm completely mixed with. I don't know where I can be. Yeah, I knew you're half of the family, but that's only half the story.
Nobody else matters.
That's only half the story.
Can't no man raise me better than you can, though. It doesn't even matter, so save it. Oh, I raised you.
No, you didn't. You weren't even there. So anyway.
All right, buckle up. The court rolls up its sleeves to get down to the business of figuring out who the real daddy is, testing 2 of the lucky 13 contenders. This is where the rubber meets the road. Brace for impact, because the drama level is about to skyrocket.
You gotta realize I was 17. So any calculation with time, I could have been way off and not known. Because by the time I found out, I was 4 months pregnant with her. You see what I'm saying? So there could be a list of whomever. It's the timing.
The list that is so missing out of my diary.
Really? The list that you fabricated, got in the book?
Where's it at? It's gone.
Just when you thought it couldn't get messier, Mr. McCraney drops a bombshell about his brief fling with Ms. Madrigal that might have led to Ms. Myers' arrival on planet Earth. It's like a plot twist in a bad rom-com. Stick around, because the tears are just about to flow.
I also found out, Your Honor, that when she left my house to another man's house, and the same thing happened the same day.
Yeah, this wasn't planned.
Your Honor, her and the same friend that was at my house, his house. That's how I know it was the same day.
I was 13 and I was going into 14.
Your mother, Ms. Madrigal, stated that you the weekend at one of his girlfriend's house.
Oh boy, here it comes. Ms. Myers completely loses it, overwhelmed by all the family drama and secrets spilling out all over the courtroom floor. It's sadder than a bowl of melted ice cream, but hold your horses. The big reveal is up next, and it's a humdinger.
Because I shouldn't have to go through this. I'm 26 years old with my own. I shouldn't have to go through this at all.
And that's what I've been.
So
tell these people what you want. They don't live in my shoes. I raised you, and I raised you. So all this other doesn't even matter. I would die for you, so stop the rest.
Everyone's on the edge of their seats. The big moment hits when the DNA test results are about to be dropped like a hot potato. This could go any way, folks. The suspense is eliminating us.
When it comes to Miss Monica Myers, Mr. Keith McCraney, it has been determined by this court that you are the father.
There it is.
Faint, Mr. McCraney?
I
don't believe that at all.
Whoa. No.